Hey golfers, if you're someone who notoriously has too much backspin on your driver and it kills your distance, this video is for you. Not only does too much backspin limit the amount of roll you're gonna get when the ball hits the ground, but it has implications in the air as well, as the ball sort of wants to lift or float in the air instead of bore through and go forward, right? So having too much backspin is an absolute killer on your drive. So in this video, we're gonna talk about why you might have too much backspin and how to go about fixing it. Now, the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest thing to do if you have too much backspin is obviously to go get fit. All these different driver heads, lofts, shafts, they all play a very large role in how much that ball is going to spin, even how it launches, right? So if you have not been fit, that's my first recommendation. The type of golf ball you play also plays a very large role. If you're playing a firmer ball, you'll get less spin. If you're playing a super soft ball that has a ton of spin around the greens, that's going to spin more off the driver as well. So couple things to pay attention to there. If you have a launch monitor and you're wondering, what is a good spin rate? There's not like a perfect number, but I think generally accepted in the golf industry, if you have a spin rate between like 2,000 and 2,600, I think you're close to good there, okay? Now, a couple people think that spin is created magically, and the good news is it's not, okay? So I'm gonna introduce a concept or a term here called spin loft, and spin loft is how spin is created. So I'm gonna kind of demonstrate with two vectors. What you need to know is the further these two sticks get apart, the more backspin you're going to generate, and the closer they get together, the less spin you're going to generate. Now this bottom stick, the blue stick, it's going to represent our angle of attack. Our angle of attack is basically, is my club moving down or level or even up when I hit the ball? Okay, so when you're hitting an iron or a wedge off the ground, typically your angle of attack is downwards. Now, the top stick is going to represent the loft of your golf club at impact. You might say, well, my driver has 10 degrees of loft. That one's easy. It may have 10 degrees of loft at setup or a static loft of 10 degrees, but when we come through and we hit the ball, some people add loft with their hands, some people decrease the loft with their hands. So that's a static loft. This loft or this red stick is going to represent the loft delivered at impact or the dynamic loft, okay? So again, we have angle of attack and we have dynamic loft, okay? So let's use a simple example. Let's say we have a 56-degree sand wedge, and when we come through, we deliver 6 degrees of shaft lane. That top vector is going to be 50 because we had 56 minus 6, okay? So 50 degrees up top. Now the attack angle with a wedge is typically a couple degrees down. Let's just use 10 for easy math. 50 and 10 is a spin loft of 60. You can see how far apart these sticks are. That ball is going to have a lot of spin. Now we apply that same concept to a driver and it looks a little bit different. With a driver, typically we have an angle of attack that's a little bit more level and our loft is a lot lower. So let's say we swung 0 degrees, a level angle of attack, and we had 10 degrees of loft when we struck the ball. Well, now those sticks are very close together. That ball is not going to have much spin. So if you're someone who struggles with too much spin on your driver and it's been fit for you and you play the right ball, well, obviously something is going wrong with one or both of these vectors. So we may have an angle of attack that's too low or too down, and we may have too much dynamic loft. Let's talk about a couple drills you can go about doing to sort of fix both problems. We're going to start with the angle of attack. Okay, so this is for you if you have an angle of attack that's too downwards. Now, in my opinion, the simplest way to get the angle of attack more level or even up is by moving the ball position forward, okay? So let's just say I'm typically playing the driver ball position right here. Sliding it forward allows you the opportunity to hit the ball more on the upward portion of the arc, okay? But you may already have the ball position forward and still be swinging down on it with your driver. Let's talk about a couple things you could do if that's you. So what I like to do is take a head cover and place it a good head cover length in front of the ball and turn it sideways. Now, obviously this ball would be teed up. My goal here is going to be to really feel the extension in my body. You can see my legs extending, spine extending, and getting this club to strike the ball and swing up over the head cover. That's going to help you level out that angle of attack and get that bottom vector pointed a little bit more level, okay? So that's a really good drill if you struggle with angle of attack. Now the second drill pertains to adding loft at impact. So now we're on that top vector where you may have 10 degrees on your driver, but there is a good possibility you come through impact, you leave your hands behind and you add loft. So now we might have 10 degrees of loft on the club, but we're hitting with 20 degrees of dynamic loft, which is why that top vector is too high, which is why you have too much spin. So really good drill for that is to take an alignment stick, put it on the lead side of your golf club, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and go through this motion with a half swing without letting this stick hit me. If I let this stick, if I add a bunch of loft with my hands, this stick is gonna hit me in the side, which is why we start with short, small swings, right? This drill really encourages rotation and leading with the hands. So you can see if I'm able to get to this impact position, I've taken that 10 degrees aloft and I've maybe even made it 5, 4, 3 degrees aloft. What that's doing is taking that top vector and pointing it more down, which is gonna get those two closer together, which is gonna decrease the spin. So if you're someone who struggles with too much spin on your driver, try these two drills. I hope they help you out. Thanks for watching.